Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and I wanted to go through a video just showing you where all the safe houses are. Some can be skipped, some will be found, sometimes they're just going to be question marks on your map until you go bump into them. But I want to unlock all of these for you because it's really good to have the fast travel points, always good to have some banks, some places to jump around to. The order silos are important too. I will cover those in a separate video with regards to how to unlock all the vaults, because the order silos show you where the vault fragments are, and then once you have all three vault fragments, 4 in location, then you're going to find the actual vault door, which you put the fragments together to open the door, and then you go in the vault. So those will be separate videos. So again, if you're liking what I'm doing on the channel, hopefully you come back for more. But I'm going to be covering first the safe houses in the southern region, then I'm going to go through the eastern region over here, and then the western region, and then finally the middle. If you don't want to see the middle, I will give you a spoiler warning. Those will be the last 3 safe houses I show. And what I want to do is basically just show you a path. Typically, like, your approach angle is you're going to be coming from down here, and what it looks like to get up there. Now, the little GPS line can be beneficial, but as you can see, it's still a little bit weird to get around to some of these things. So I just want to point out a couple of the nuances. Also, the data pads can be in some weird spots. Like the balcony gets shot up or something and it falls to the cliff below. Sometimes that happens at these safe houses, so I do want to point out a couple of those places where you do want to look for the data pad. I'll try and at least put a screenshot in there so you can see what the little icon looks like, so you know where to look. They're usually not too hidden. As long as you're close enough to the safe house, typically the little icon will show up, and then you just got to search for it. But hopefully this helps. If you guys like what you see here, apparently the sun is rising on my gun literally as we speak. Let's get to this first one. So the first one we are going to be covering is the abandoned post. This is the one that's hard to miss. It's the first one in the game, and you'll typically be approaching it from down below. So if you're like, I need to get up there, but I'm not entirely sure how, don't forget you do have your little echo buddy here, and he's typically going to tell you to run around this like rock structure and jump up to the top. I think, now granted I'm at like level 38 here, so you may not have your grapple hook yet, so if you don't, just run around. But I think you kind of have to have your grapple hook to get to this one because of another section up there. So come over here. Then we're going to fly across. Now, you might take the elevator up there the first time. That is also, I think, an option. If you take the elevator up there, that's just how you're going to progress. But either way, whether it's the elevator the first time that you have to go down and open by fighting all the enemies, that could be definitely a thing. Or I'm just going to get hit while I'm recording a video, and hopefully it's not too bad. You'll come up here, and I do feel at some point you kind of get up to this level if you're exploring around, and then you're able to come up here and get to the safe house. Now, if you come up the elevator, which I think you do, you'll come up through here, or at some point you'll have to come down through it later on to activate the elevator. One way or another, I know you have to do the elevator, and I think when you get up here, the data pad's like out here on one of these. But what I want to do right now is just put a little picture on screen, and then I want to show you what the icon looks like. I've got to have one somewhere in all my footage, shouldn't be too hard to find. And then from there, we're going to just... And then from there, we're just going to kind of use that as an example, but the data pads themselves are not too difficult to find. Just know you might have to look a little outside the ordinary. And if there's any really weird ones, I'll try and point out where they are. So once you've got your data pad, let your Echo 4 little robot activate it, and then you'll always run into the like little thing right here, and you'll actually capture the safe house. Once that's captured, everything will activate. You'll know because you've got access to ammo, the weapons, and anything else that's here. And you also have the bounty board, which is always important, especially when you're working on leveling up. The acquire, collect, or patrol. Patrols are easy, collect are easy. The acquire means you actually have to bring something back and carry it, which is an annoying thing to do, so probably wouldn't worry too much about that one. Other than that, though, that is safe house number 1, the abandoned post. Alright, so the next one we are going to be coming to is the Shut Eye Keep here up in the northern portion of the Howl. Main point of reference we can use is the launch pad on this side of the big body of water. So from there, you'll go north, kind of split your diamond whichever way you want to go, work your way up to here, and when you get to this fork in the road, the left one that looks like it's going to take you to the next zone, you're pretty much in the right place. So if you're down here, you see this structure here, and you see this one right up here, almost in line with the tower, you are in a pretty good spot. I don't know if you have your Digirunner by now, but I think you do, so I'm just going to use it at this point forward. We're going to go over this direction because you actually have to take an elevator up to the top to get there. So head over this direction. I will probably have some enemies over here, so hopefully I don't get killed too bad, but I already did once. But again, your goal will come over here. Just take him out. And then Come inside, either hit the switch to bring it down or use the lever that's on the inside, and we should be going up. Now, this one I do want to point out where the datapad is because it is far from the obvious. The GPS little dot on your screen might show up, but it might not too quickly. So, from here, what you're going to do is... well, that's a fun thing. We'll come inside, and you'll see that you've got, like, this room here. And then you've got a couple of rooms here. And you're probably going, where am I going? You're not actually done. So keep heading on inside. All the way around. Some of these are a bit longer. So here is your actual like safe house entrance and balcony. Where you actually need to go is up here to the left. So you've got 2 grapple points. You want the one on the left. And your datapad will be right here on this table. So it's going to be sitting basically right there once you've got it. Come back out here, capture this right here. I don't know why it looks kind of weird and projected, but this is where the datapad will actually, or the capture point will actually be, and that is Shut I Keep in the Howl in the southern region. So the next safe house we are going to be going towards is the Someday Rise. Now, this is an important one to get because it's a really good fast travel point, because as you head from kind of your main faction town over here, and again, I can turn a few things on. Faction towns, I'm just trying to keep this mostly clean. When you head from the launch pad over to the eastern side of the map, this is one of the first ones you're going to catch. And it's kind of on the northern region, and it's a good midpoint between stuff, so you are going to want to make sure you catch it. Now, if I zoom in on the map, since you may not know exactly where this is, you'll see this kind of cliff structure area up here. You'll see the big split in the road. If you see where this little triangle road funky thing is, if you go due west of that road and you put your spot here, it will actually guide you in. But as you can see, it's a bit funky, so I'm going to show you guys where this one goes. So we're going to get on this. We're going to get our guidance arrow. And then as you can see, you might have some enemies going through this area. Don't worry too much about them. And as you work around, sometimes the GPS is a little squirrely, so just be careful about that. But you'll notice you'll get to this little structure here, like kind of a highway support bridge, bunch of barbed wire. Work your way through the barbed wire. And then from here, you can squeeze through under here, kind of by this big drill. And if you find this little rotational staircase, you know you're in a pretty good spot. From here, you're actually well on your way. Now, when you're going across, one thing I actually might recommend picking up, there's a, right there, one of those big, what are they, I forget what they're called, but they're basically a big loot pile. Go down there, and then you'll be able to get right back up here. But for the safe house, we're just going to jump across. Keep going. Again, some of these have a little bit of traversal to get inside. And then once you get here, this is actually where it's at. This is Someday Rise. You want to turn to your right. Come over to here to this kind of like lean-to tarp-covered structure. And on this mattress, your datapad's going to be right there. And then once you've got the datapad, you'll be able to actually see most of your stuff will be in here, which will include your capture terminal. So if you come in here looking for the capture terminal, it's right here. And this also will give you a different exit. Once you come out here, you'll actually be able to see kind of from the perch where you looked up here. You're like, I know I need to get up there, but you don't know where to get there. So that's where we started from right then there. So that is Someday Rise, Datapad, and Capture Point. And we've got one more to do for this southern region. Alright, so our next safe house is going to be Wyclef's Reprieve. So this one is in the southern portion of the kind of southern eastern zone, barely still technically within Idolator's Noose. So if you're looking for, obviously, the big road that gets down here, you can follow the big orange line on my screen. Just literally come down just past Someday Rise, take a left on the fork, and then go all the way down here as you're coming down to this area. Now, when you get down here, this is one of the funky ones I mentioned. So when you come here, you're actually going to be able to walk in. I think you can just walk in the front, if I remember correctly. And once you get in here, you're going to be looking for the datapad, but obviously it's a little harder than it's meant to be. This is going to be your little capture terminal. But what'll happen is you'll walk out here, and then the datapad node, like the little icon on screen, is going to show up, and it's actually down below. So you actually are going to have to drop right down here. And it's either sitting on like this box or this box. It's right around here, but if you get down this far, you should be good to go. Once you've got the data pad, you actually have to get back up somehow without going too far around. What I found to be beneficial was up here. And if you're having any issues with mantling, by the way, I do recommend changing this in settings. Accessibility, gameplay, mantle with forward. Just if you're holding the forward button, it will mantle and kind of grab a ledge. Makes life a little easier as you go through. Jump up here, and then come down here. Your goal is to actually hit the button and then be able to go back up to the top. But if for some reason that doesn't work, which I don't actually remember if that's active until you turn the safe house on, you're going to need to go to the right over this direction. Now, once it's active, don't forget that's there. But if that isn't working, from your data pad, head back this direction. You're going to go through this tunnel. I don't think you've got too many enemies in the way of stuff to fight in here. Yep, should be able to just go through here, and then you'll see this platform that you can climb. It looks like it's electrified, and thankfully it's not. And then when you come up here, you'll just get on the road, and then you'll be able to go back inside. So it's not too bad. It's just, one, finding the data pad can be a little far down below, and then two, getting back up is not always the most obvious, and that way you don't go falling too far down, getting into, like, 6 different other fights that you might not want to. Once you're back up here, go through the first set of doors, come up here, and you'll have your capture right here. So this is Wyclef's Reprieve, and that is all 4 of the safe houses for this lower region. From here, I'm going to go up. So if you're still early in the game, you might bookmark this video for later. I'm going to go to this region first. This is kind of the mountainous region. And then I'm going to do the western region next, and then finally the middle. So at this point, we're going to head northeast. Alright, so the next safe house we are going to cover is the Gray Havenage. And this is the first one when you head up to this kind of northeastern, big, mountainous, snowy region. So if you head up here, you're going to have to cross this bridge. Then it's probably going to take you over this direction. And it's actually going to have you eventually work on going up that lift. You have to call it down, maybe clear some stuff out. But when you get to this point, it's a really good idea to pick up your safe house while you're next to it. This one is a little hard to find the data pad, not quite as obvious as you would think, and some of these are a little strange, so we're going to cover this. So from here, if you're facing the big lift where the quest marker takes you, we're going to come over here to the left. Avoid the flying enemies if you can, they're just more headache than they're worth at the moment. That's the safe house over there on the right, but you need to activate it first, and this is the one that took me a little while, because I tried to go directly at it. But from right at about this point, you're going to notice the data pad is actually pointing you up there. You just need to find a way to get up there. And it's not really I don't even know if this is the right way. I just know that it worked for me. Climbing up here. And then this little, like, bolt right here, or this little, like, hinge, I kind of grabbed on that. Came up here. This definitely looks like a platform, as you can tell. You're going to come over here, grab this guy. Come up top, and your data pad will be right here. So, from here, pretty easy. Get a nice little jump. Fly across. If you want to grab any of the, loot up top, you can, hit the porta potty, whatever you need to do, see if there's anything inside that's fun and exciting. But either way, fall down to this opening down in here. And your capture point will be back here. Right here, sitting here, and once you've got this, that will be the Gray Havenage. And again, the region that we're in, just to give you a clarification on name, this one is called the Cuspid Climb. So this first region, after you come north from the green area on the eastern side of the map. Gray Havenage, check. Alright, our next safe house is Heritage Opus. This is going to be pretty east, but a little northeast of the Gray Havenage, kind of on the other side. But to get here, you are going to have to you technically, I guess, can pass through, but I think early on as you're doing the campaign especially, you're going to have to do a pretty big loop all the way around the top. So you're honestly going to get to Belton's Boar, this kind of faction town, before you get over here. But anything you kind of do over this direction, I do recommend opening this up. Again, more fast travel points makes getting around the map just much easier. So, for this one, if you can get to this point. So here's kind of a road that I'm on. As you can see, we've got this bridge cross down here. Head outside this loop. And again, if you're looking on the map without anything on it. So if I go to the legend and hide everything, there's nothing there. So from the safe house down here, if you kind of scroll across the map, what you're going to be looking for is, see this like middle structure here, kind of a big, almost like crag of a mountain. Then you've got a bit of a road here. looking for this little section here. So you'll see the lake comes up and then drops straight down. This is kind of your corner. You'll see the double line railway or bridge go across. Here's your little structure here. If you can zoom in and you take these two big mountain structures, you need to get up to the upper level. You'll notice it's going to take you in a bit of a kind of a sideways run to get through it. There's usually going to be some enemies here. You got to clean out quite a few of them, and then I'll show you where the datapad is at as well. So this is what it looks like when you're coming in here. This is where I'm facing. As you can see, you got the big climbable wall here to start. Coming on up. And as we climb a little bit higher, gonna go over this direction. Now, I had a pretty decent fight when I came through here before. Does look like I'm gonna have some enemies, but I am gonna be skipping those because at this level it's just gonna take a little while. Doesn't really seem necessary. Messing with some of my new legendaries, so they're kind of fun. As you get over here, then you're gonna grapple on up. You're gonna have some more over here, so hopefully I can get through. Here's a grapple up to this wall, and then keep climbing up. So again, you're heading basically west the whole time. Once you come up, then you're going to be up here on kind of the top level. This level should be safe unless you're just clearing it out for the first time. And your little node for the datapad should be popping up right about over there. So when we kind of jump up here, up on top of this gazebo thing, your datapad should be right up here on the top in this corner. Once you've got that, we can head inside. And just on the upper level, overlooking kind of the lower floor, do a quick U-turn, and here will be your capture console. Again, this is Heritage Opus, this is in the mountain region, and this is kind of in the lower section of the mountainous region, but over here on the eastern side. Let me bring these back up so we can see. So, there you go. That is Heritage Opus, and on to the next one. Alright, so from Heritage Opus, you'll be able to travel north, and you may have looped around close to here already, because the faction town is here, in this section, and then if you loop around and you'll head where you've got this big underground tunnel structure, you've got this like white structure on the map, and if you actually take away what looks like, you know, the safe house on the map, you'll be able to see that from this point you've got the fork in the road, the big long bridge up to this massive structure up here, and kind of where the two forks in the road meet down here. Coming across up here into the fields just a little bit, what you're going to be looking for is the actual safe house entrance, which looks like this. That's the safe house. This is one of the weirder datapads for sure. So to be able to get the datapad, you actually have to go to the cave over here to the left. One of the more odd ones for sure. Now you might have some biologics, some animals, things like that to fight over in this direction. As we work our way through, we'll go this way. And at this point, you just need to find your way to get vertical, because you'll be able to actually get in here, but then that door won't be open. So if we come up here, and then we do a jump up to this wall, get a bit of a climb, and then you're going to turn around and you're trying to get here, get a double jump, and then come up here. And your datapad should be right around here. Let me check. Alright, just check my previous footage. It's actually right here. So once you've got the datapad, you should be able to see that door open. So then drop down inside, and then to get to your console to actually capture this place, you got to go through a little bit, because these are kind of your normal structures. Come all the way through here, since this will all be open now. And your capture console will be right here, basically again staring at the vending machines. That is the Nightcap. A little bit of a weird one, but one more safe house in the books. On to the next. Alright, so the next safe house is Snowy Wells. This one is a bit of a hike to get to, mostly to get to the datapad. It's not too crazy, but it's up there. So, if you're going from Belton's Boar, you're going to head pretty much northwest, kind of, as you can see, up this road, and towards kind of these mountain crags. And this really sharp one right here, kind of in the middle of my screen right now, this is the one you're just below it. So when you come up here, looks like the safe house is up here, but the datapad is actually way over here, so it's a lot harder to get all the way up there. As you can see, the line's actually going to take you a long ways around. So, let me show you what that looks like, and we'll get on our merry way. But if we're just going straight up the safe house, you can apparently go around there and then walk your way up, but you should be able to grapple your way up here at this point, so it's not too bad. And then as we come this direction, hopefully no enemies spawn in front of me. That would be really appreciated. As you come around the corner, I think typically what I did is just maybe jumped here. Got a nice little yellow thing saying jump here. I might be making this more difficult than I probably need to, but there's probably a grapple somewhere in this region or neck of the woods. There we go. There's a grapple point. And you still got to go higher. So this is where the datapad gets a little interesting. So you do have a grapple up here. And another grapple point up here. Safe house is back down there. We're like past it at this point. But then you need to fall down here and then get to this little, I don't know, power plant, oil rig, whatever you want to call this thing over here. And if you can make it all the way over here, your datapad should be screaming at you that it's right here on this little perch. So that is your datapad. Once that is open, then you can kind of glide your way back across. Your glide is full. You should be able to make it all the way over, since this thing is quite lengthy, which I appreciate. And once you get here, this door should at least be open now. Come on inside. And then our actual terminal for this thing. I always forget where this one's going to be in here. Well, oh, it's right outside. Here you go. So this is your capture terminal. Again, looking inside, straight at the vending machines. Tends to look straight at the vending machines. That's probably a good place to look. So that is Snowy Wells. Your datapad is, again, far past the actual safe house itself. And then come back in here to capture it up. That should be the 4 for the Eastern Mountain Snowy region off to the west. All right, just to give you a point of reference, if you're coming from, say, the Shut-Eye Keep, which is probably the easiest way to start, that's why getting all of these helps your fast travel go a little quicker. You're going to head north, follow the main road all the way north, avoid the purple stuff for now, don't worry about what that means. And when you get to the fork in the road here, you're going to go left. So when you go left, you're going to come across the Makeshift Chalet. This is kind of the first one that you're going to come to in this area if you come from the south, but it's pretty easy to get to. Now, when I got here, I had a pretty decent fight, I'll be honest, because for whatever reason, they just kept spawning a bunch of enemies, so it was a pretty lengthy one for me. Could be easy for you, who knows. Depends on when you get here and what you're fighting. When you get here, you gotta get to the datapad. This seems to be one of those that got knocked off a balcony. Don't mind the vault key fragments, that's just the thing I'll get to later. Different video, so stay tuned. If you want to know where the vault key fragments are, all the vaults are, and the order silos, I will be doing a separate video for those, if I didn't say that already. When you get in here, you're gonna head to the left. And then right here to this ledge where you see the rebar and kind of a blasted out balcony. We're going to head straight down. All the way down here. Catch your fall. I'm so used to catching my fall, but there's not much fall damage. Your datapad will be sitting right here on this metal box. Once you've got Echo 4 doing his thing, you'll have a grapple point up here. And then you'll have a climbable wall. And then your capture point. Apparently the enemies are still being a little resilient there. Oh, we got a big one. I'm going to leave that alone. That is your capture point for the Makeshift Chalet, and your vending machines will be inside. So that's your first one out here in kind of the desert type area. And this is in the Lopside region, if you want to call it anything. And we'll get to these other ones. But for Lopside, this is your Makeshift Chalet. On to the next. Alrighty, the next one we are going to do after the Makeshift Chalet is the next one in sequence because it kind of just makes sense. And also, I want to show you the full drive from here to here, basically because it's a bit ridiculous, but you need to do it. Because the elevation change between the two actually requires this massive loop to be able to get up here. Because you eventually like loop around here, you'll make this like jump across, you'll be elevated enough, and then you'll kind of come over here. Now, if you're coming at this and you don't have any access to anything to be able to see, what you're going to look for is this kind of like triangular structure of like body of water here, and you've got this little island in the middle. You go across the bridge, and you've got this little kind of white building structure here, and then the second one, if you can get to a point where you can click up here and you've got the big loop, you're going to get close enough, at least then you'll see the icon and you'll be able to get close. So that's kind of why I want to show you that. But we're going all the way from down here over there. So, from the Makeshift Chalet, we go ahead and get on our bike. And we're going to head north. And this is a long one, but this is the main reason I just want to show you this, because you might think I'm a little crazy, but I'm actually not. So you see the elevation changes? We are really going to end up pretty high. That's why I just really recommend follow the GPS line the first time to get here. Unlock this one because it's nice to have it done once and not have to do it again. And then from here, as you're going down, you might even check and see, okay, so here I need to take this fork in the road. Between these two goofy looking trees, we'll go this way. Get my GPS line going. I wish you could just change how long it stayed. I don't know if I care how far it drives it, but how long it actually stays active would be nice. One of my comments actually said change it to short, so I might try that a little bit later. But for now, we're just following this whole path along. So you just follow along on screen. I'm not even boosting. So hopefully that helps you guys follow along. And again, here's this bridge with this big rock at it. You actually want to take the lower route down here. You can keep working your way around. There we go. If you don't want to cross that bridge up here, you actually want to go all the way around this way. Then we're going to make this loop. And again, you might get distracted, but if you get safe houses unlocked, it does just make your life easier. I have no idea why my GPS went away. Seems like we're still going along, so we'll go all the way around here, and then keep just kind of hugging this road. Follow the wavy white line as it travels across the road. There's one point up here, it gets a little ridiculous. Makes like an extra like jaunt out and then comes right back, which is pointless, so you don't actually need to do that part of it. But we're getting there. This one right here, it goes out and then makes a U-turn, so you'll go over here. From here, now you can see we've actually gone around, we've actually climbed up in elevation a bit. And then if you follow this little area across the bridge, we'll actually be up here. But we are way higher than we were before. That's why there's no easy way to get up here. And I really do recommend unlocking this one as soon as you get here, along with the other one. We've got one more line and we're getting pretty close. Alright, so as we get pretty close, you're gonna see that this is kind of where I was trying to get to, at least for my GPS node. But the safe house itself is going to be up here. So you're going to need to pass on through, jump up here, and you might have some enemies as you pass through here. Don't worry too much about those. Alright, so now that we're here, your little Datapad, little like blip on your screen should start showing up right about up there. I think that's where it's going to pop up. Excuse me. You got to work your way in the circle, just kind of a continuous circular climb as you work your way around. And as we get up top, once you're up here, you need to still find the actual Datapad. What you need to do is come back and look for the little notch that's off, and it should be somewhere right on this platform. I may be sitting over here on the ledge or here, but if you get out here, it's out here. I just try to get exactly which part of the rock it's on. Once you've got the Datapad activated, then you should be able to come inside. You're going to have your vending machines over here, which usually means you've got somewhere close by for your terminal to be, but your capture point is actually going to be right up here, kind of overlooking all of this stuff. But you are so high up in comparison to what's down below. Just in comparison, we're at the Lowrise, which is just a funny joke. That was the bridge that I told you not to take, and then we ended up going down that direction and looping around. That's the whole path. So that is why the Lowrise is a hard one to get to. Not an easy one to find. Kind of an easy one to miss if you don't actually know where to look for this one. So hopefully that helped you get here. On to the next one. Alright, so the final safe house in this western kind of desert mountain region. If you go from Carcadia and you go pretty much due north. So once you've got this location, as you can kind of see, we've got the Makeshift Chalet and the Lowrise. So you really are going way up here. You've got this big crater looking thing over here, and you've got kind of the top of your normal explorable, somewhat connected map, since this is a bit disconnected. Not quite the top center, but just this little island off to the right. And as I said, due north of Carcadia. So if you come out of Carcadia, go up through the city, and then just get over here to the right to kind of this beachish area. If you follow it along till you get to this northern point, you'll see this broken road, and that looks like this. Now, as you go across, there are a couple of landmines is cute, mines in the water, so you might want to avoid those, otherwise your dejourner might get a little messed up. And then when you go around, you're just going to really loop all the way to the top. You'll pass through this area. If there's any enemies in here, you might have to fight them. I'm pretty sure I had a decent little fight in here. But then your goal is to just kind of drive without falling off all the way to the top. looks like I do actually have something I need to fight here real fast. Bit of a badass.
Build this myself.
There we go, we'll grab that later. And when you come up here, you're going to find what looks like a little lifeboat. Your datapad should be sitting like right on one of these two little benches. And once you've got the datapad activated, you can hop down. And you'll be able to get to your safe house in here. Now you got a couple chests in here. The actual safe house, looking at the wrong building, sorry. It's going to be way over there. The actual activation point, I'm pretty sure, is inside. Should be right here when you walk in, and then your vending machines will be over there on the left, and that should cover this one. So that again is the last one in the, I don't know, desert brownish area as opposed to snowy, and it's called Wildhorn's Beard. Now, spoiler warning, final three I'm going to show you are here in the middle in Dominion City, so if you don't want to see those, feel free to skip them, but if you do, let's go to the next area. Alright, so this is a bit spoilery at this point. You are going to be heading towards the end game to the middle. You will need to have kind of accomplished everything it takes to get the initial entrance into this area busted open, which you'll figure out through the story. Once you kind of get in here and kind of get started, we're going to be heading to the Lockaway safe house. So as we head over here, I'll show you guys where it's at. Easiest way to get started, you'll slide into this place. I've already cleared out all the enemies, so hopefully this is a bit smooth. We can manage. Best way I've found though is, like, I wandered around, cleared out all the enemies, kind of got a little off track, but if you follow this little, I don't know what you call it, digital projection up this kind of ramp, which you cannot use your vehicles in here, so you got to go on foot. Crawdaddies, got a little seafood joint, it sounds like. And then once you get to about here, you're able to go left. And then it's going to be pretty high up top once you get up there. And it seems I've got some enemies coming my way. So I'm going to kind of skip those for now. We're going to go on up. Killed all the enemies in here. Hopefully no more respawn. When you get in here, there's a decent amount of enemies. What you're actually looking for is up above that little projection up there. It'll get you up here. There were a lot of enemies on that lower level though, so keep an eye out for those. Work our way up, jump across, and the datapad is up on a table. This one's not too hard to find once you get up here. It's just clearing out all the enemies to get up here. Once you're up top, we'll have the datapad first. Let Echo 4 do his thing on that. And then, of course, we've got to find the projector, which will be right here once it's ready. These should fade out. This thing should pop up. Unless I'm looking at the wrong thing. Nope, wrong thing. Man, those actually look pretty close. Alright. That is the safe house called the Lockaway. So this is the first one in the final zone inside the big city in the middle. So only a couple more to go. Alright, so the next safe house that we are going to go to is the food court of all names, which is pretty hilarious. This will be the second one in your progression around Dominion City. Again, this is the final zone, so if you haven't been here, this is a little spoilery, but you'll eventually get here. First one you kind of bump into, like, try to make sure you get the Lockaway. I think they almost make you open it up, so that one's not too hard to get to, but I did still point out kind of the best way to get up there. From here, you're going to be able to go along and miss the other two. I'll show you the Sumpview Falls after this one, but as you go along to this one, this is the one we're going to go to. But you can walk right by both of these and miss them. That's kind of why I actually specifically wanted to point these two out. So once we get out of here, we'll go ahead and follow our little trail over here. I'm going to avoid the enemies for now, so if I run by things, you'll know why. Just so this hopefully doesn't take forever. And remember, you have no actual digirunner in here, so you're going to have to do all this on foot. I feel like actually showing you the full path progression is not the worst idea in the world. Maybe it's overkill, but going a little overboard today. So, as we run around, got some more enemies in here. Seems like I need to find my path somewhere. Safe house is still ahead, so still going in the right direction. Oh, it wants me to go around that way, but apparently I'm just going to go a little more vertical for it. Hey, it took. That's why you should turn on mantling with forward, by the way. It helps quite a bit. So now that we're here, see if I can not get shot by that thing. We're going to run straight up here. So you're just trying to go straight across this area. And you'll be fighting most of the way through this. When you get to this lift, which I think I had to just in my normal progression through the area anyway, you at least know you're going the right direction. At some point, you're going to have to open the door. And you will have to work on opening this. That's actually one of the bigger glitches I've had in a while. So, still not perfect, but you know, things are happening. So occasionally just have to open the other door for the Terminus district. Still being shot. Not great. Can you leave me alone?
Heads up.
Anyway. Alright, hopefully we're clear enough that it's going to let me go through. Nope. There we go. So you may actually need to do this one afterwards. I know I went from base location, got here. I worked my way around here, like to the upper area, went over towards this direction, you know, kind of came across the center bridge, eventually got over here to Zadra's lab, and then worked my way underneath. And that was kind of the way I went through this area, and that's why the Sumpview Falls was the last safe house. But if you eventually need to travel through this area that I'm at right now, this may be a story progression thing, but I still wanted to show you guys what's going on in here. So from here, you're going to notice you got all these kind of neon lights over here and some signs and stuff. And if you see this larger, almost like radio tower here, you know you've actually made it to the right place. So if you're in the Terminus district and you see that pretty tall set of towers over here, you know you're actually kind of in the right place. Sounds like we've got propaganda speaker and that type of stuff. Large tower over here. So if you get to it from that side, just know you got to go over here. You're looking for some of these neon signs and little shop set up. If you find all you can eat, you're in the right place. Not sure why he really wants my lunch right now. Right, that should keep him quiet for a minute. So, whichever way you get in here, I think the first time I came in here, again, from the big tower with the giant red poster on it, I think I actually came in here from this direction. You got Whimsy Willie's, all you can eat. Your datapad is here on this actual, sadly, pile of trash. So this will be the datapad. Echo's freaking out over here. And then if you always want to know where your stuff's going to be, it's going to be near your vending machines and all that stuff. So we've got that one. And then our next piece is going to be our station terminal, which should be right here in the middle. So if you're looking at the vending machines, just back up from it. Go ahead and capture this one. And while this is out of order, this is the last safe house to capture. So this should actually be all of them for me, and hopefully with the next one in the video, you will now have all of the safe houses as well. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like below. Leave a comment if you got questions, but we still got one more to go. But if you're enjoying this and anybody else might find it helpful, share it with them as well. So let's get to the last one, and we'll wrap this up. Alright, so at some point you're going to be in the Dominion City area. You'll be working your way around. You might even cross. And the safe house that you can easily miss is Sumpview Falls. So I knew this one was down here just by checking to make sure I kind of got here as I went. But when you are working on Plan Z, kind of in the southern section of Dominion, you'll kind of work from over here, from Zadra's lab if you need to fast travel. Come down here. This one just is a little weird to get to. So if you'll get to this point, you'll have two trees behind you on this kind of outer ring, one bigger tree in front of you. If you look to the left, you got the big crazy tower in the middle. We're going to come over this direction. And then we're actually going to go one farther. You're almost going to get to where you're going towards the center. From here, what we're going to do is travel along this outside ledge. Now you can grapple up here as you can see, or you can just make this jump. Same thing here. I'm going to go for a nice little grab. Now when I got here, there were a lot of enemies here. So be careful, you're probably in for a decent fight. And then what you're looking for is the datapad. So once you get to this area here, you'll see the staircase down. Datapad is actually going to be on your left. Over here in just a slightly raised area. So here's your datapad. And then, once things actually open up, once he's done, Always takes a second. Things will generally open. We got the vending machines pretty close by, so I know we're not going to have to go too far. So now you're just going to have to find the console, and the console is right here. Actually, I knew it was right in front of me. So again, facing the staircase, sitting over here. Now once you get your capture, everything should open up. So again, this is Sumpview Falls, south section of Dominion City, right there in the middle. And it's just an easy one to miss, because if you're following along with the track of the missions, you'll just kind of keep going around it and miss it. So it's just one I wanted to make sure and point out, and just plant the seed in your mind as you're going through the campaign, or if you haven't done it, travel to right over here, Zadra's lab, and then pop out and go east. You might have, you know, other mission structures, things like that, but that's probably the quickest one to get to and come over here. So again, that is Sumpview Falls. Alright, so that should cover every safe house on the map. You've got 4 in your southern region, 4 on the eastern region, 3 in the western region, and then 3 in Dominion City itself. That is every safe house. Again, they do help a lot with fast travel, and they're just beneficial just to have places to go and swing by and obviously sell all your junk. Next video that I want to do for you guys, just let me know if you are interested in it. It's going to be the order silos. And the order silos, again, as I mentioned before, those will show you where vault fragments are. Once you have the vault fragments, then you'll be able to actually find the door for the vault that you put the fragments into. And then I might actually do a guide over the vaults if you're curious in that. But if you think the order silos all the way through to each of the vault openings, one big video or maybe one for each, let me know in the comments below. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, drop a like below, leave a comment to say hello, maybe something I missed, but this one's pretty straightforward. Even just like drop a subscription if you're enjoying the channel. Thank you guys for everything. Find me anywhere you want to find me with Ebontis and the Cheetah. You'll have found me whether it's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Thank you guys. Have a good one. I will see you soon.